For so many 20-something years, I've been saying this crisis was coming. So now it's happened. It's frightening. I'm more compassionate. I don't know how families are taking it. Rich Dad's Prophecy. And I started writing this book in 1999, and it was about the crash that would come in 2016. Well, it came 4 years later, 2020. In 1999, I didn't foresee quantitative easing and money printing. I just didn't see how dastardly, how the people that control the world are. And then to have it come through via a virus, or what Nassim Taleb calls a black swan, even more dastardly, and then to shut down the whole world's economy and put millions of people out of work and destroy small business owners, the lifeblood of the world, to save the rich, is, I think, criminal. What's happening in the news today is fake. It's the old news. It's tragic. This coronavirus, I don't know if it's real. I mean, the virus is real, but the media terrorism is frightening. I've already been warned many times to stay in my lane. Don't go into medicine. Don't go into this virus. Stay teaching people with my little cash flow game. And I studied with Fuller in 1981, and I studied in 81, 82, and 83, and he was predicting the future. He told us what was coming. And so in 81, he says in 1989, or what he said was, Fuller was a futurist, one of the greatest futurists we ever had. And he said, before the end of this decade, which was 1980, a new technology will emerge and the future will be shown to us. So 89, the Berlin Wall comes down, which was the war between, Russia and Reagan and Star Wars and all that other stuff, nuclear power. And in 89, the World Wide Web came up. So exactly as he predicted. And this other book here, Prophecy, I called it for 2016. These were all warnings. It was coming. And I'm not the only guy doing this. There's Jim Rickards who's done it. Danielle DiMartino Booth has done it. So many people have done it, except the people don't listen. That's the problem. And what we are chicken littles. Oh, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. But why can't people hear that? We've been saying it's been coming for years. But the average person cannot hear it, and I think that's the problem. And so what a prophet becomes is a Cassandra. A Cassandra is a person who can see the future, but nobody will listen to him. Question you and I are always asking is, how come people can't hear it? It's like just now, I got hammered because I said, this COVID virus thing is overblown. I get attacked. And it says, you don't love your family the way I love my family. I said, well, I don't doubt you love your family, but it's your fear that's the problem. If you can't control fear. And that's why I really love your last thing about, a war leader and a peacetime leader. That is one of the most powerful things, distinctions I've made, because you and I both served and all this stuff. And once you go to war, you're different than the guy who didn't even join the service. So when I came back from Vietnam, I went there twice. And once I crossed into combat, it was one thing to be a Marine, but when you cross the line into Vietnam and you have to kill people, your life changes. And when I came back from Vietnam in 73, January 3rd, 1973, I arrived at Norton Air Force Base. I was a different human being. And then I go out into the streets, and all these hippies are screaming at me, spitting on me, throwing eggs on me. Our instructions were, ladies and gentlemen, there's no women at the time in the military, in a combat unit. I was a pilot. They said, change your clothes right away and try and blend in, because your own Americans will try and kill you. And what I think happened is a lot of those hippies became school teachers. And now they carry that education into our school system. That's why Jordan Peterson says, the most important thing to a school teacher is a word called tenure, job security, paychecks, pensions. And that's what they teach their kids subliminally. So you're fragile. And Nazim Taleb, Nazim Taleb, the great guy, Black Swan and Anti-Fragile, he says, we're teaching kids to be fragile, that they need to be protected. Fragile means you're like a glass, champagne flute that shatters and never gets put back together. So millions of young people are coming out fragile, like a champagne glass. And a lot of the military guys are like the second category, which is the robust. We're like rocks. You can pound on us, pound on us, pound on us. We won't break, but we don't grow. We remain rocks. And have friends who are still rocks. They're going to take it, they're going to gut it out, they're going to get through this crisis. But what Taleb was talking about, there's another category called anti-fragile. And he said it was the best way to describe it. It was against the fragile person because we have so many fragile people today. And that's what you're talking about in War Leader and Peacetime Leader. Our peacetime leaders are putting out fragile champagne glasses. Marines call them pussies, the science, you're a pussy. And so an anti-fragile person will come out of this smarter, stronger, better, more able to take on the world. So today, as the world is collapsing behind of us with the stock market and employment, businesses are collapsing, it's fake. It's not real. They're doing it to do it. Some of us will come out anti-fragile. We'll come out stronger, better, more able. I say to young people, the millennials, you've been screwed. You're being left with a world that's absolutely horrible shape, financially and all this. Student loan debt, pensions are collapsing, financial systems are collapsing, the rich are getting richer. But apparently somebody gave you something to get yourself out of this, and what the millennials have that I didn't have was an iPhone. The iPhone is the single most powerful. I cannot believe how much power that thing has. So it seems to me, I'm not really religious, I'm not political, but I'm saying that God does provide at some level, and God provided the millennials with an iPhone. Holy mackerel. All you have to do is sync your brain to that iPhone. You have more power than you and I ever had when we were their age. So all you young millennials out there and young people, you have the most powerful tool ever created in humanity. The question is, how are you going to use it? The trouble is, if they haven't gone to school and they have a teacher that is incompetent, and we've all had incompetent teachers, their brain and the iPhone are not synced into making money. Do you know what I mean? And if you can't make money with your iPhone, there's something wrong in your brain, not the iPhone's brain. And that's what I tell young people. And that's why I said, when I saw that iPhone come out, I said, all you millennials or all you entrepreneurs out there, that cell phone is your lifeline out of this mess. Use it. So what we're doing today is anti-fragile. We're wartime leaders, and we're going to come out of this better. I don't know how, but it's called metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is like when a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. That's metamorphosis. And the definition of metamorphosis, you can look it up in the dictionary, is the transformation from an immature form to an adult form. Immature form to adult form. In other words, grow up. So for some of us, this crisis will grow up. We'll come out of it anti-fragile. We'll come out stronger. And that's why I've been watching my tweets. I say, the best teachers are on YouTube, not in school. Like Jim Marcus talks about the academic elite crushing us. You go to school today, you come out weaker. And the corruption starts in our education system. Like I said, when I was standing there at Norton Air Force Base in January 1983, I'm being spit on, and eggs thrown at me. We had to change our clothes. And I had just come back from wartime. So as we've talked about, the wartime leader is very different. I don't think anybody ever knows the grief it is when an air crew doesn't return. And we're carrier pilots. And you stand there for hours hoping your friends come back. And they're MIAs today. They're still MIA. We don't know what happened to them. They just disappear, And there's a sadness and a grief that's so profound. And so when I come back, and I land at Norton Air Force Base again, and they're spitting on me, I'm going. And then later on, I meet guys, the boomers, So what you do during Vietnam says, oh, I was in Canada, or I was in college and all this. I hate to say it, but sort of my respect for them goes down a little bit. And you understand what I'm saying, because you've been there. You know what war is like. You know what dying is like. So you can't explain it to them, and then you can't even explain it to somebody who never joined the military, somebody who dodged it. So we're all different human beings, and we have different levels of tolerance and fear and all this stuff. So your thing on the military leader versus the peacetime leader was prescient. It was one of the most important lessons everybody should look at. They have to ask yourself today, am I going to be a military leader and come out of this anti-fragile and stronger, better, healthier? Or am I going to be crushed